who's doing what and who's doing the Fringe this year in Edinburgh. You know, what can I go and see? You know, and I try to keep tabs on a number of these things, but it's not possible. It's just amazing. And the quality of music that's produced there is, and bearing in mind it's non-music specialists. These are just spare time musicians, and the quality is amazing.
I saw the quality of student theatre when I was there was really you know, everything from, you know, Shakespeare to the most experimental stuff you could imagine.
It's wonderful, and I've witnessed it on so many occasions now, and it's really heartening. And what's beautiful about it is the very thing that the Institute goes for is there's that spread of disciplines, you know, the interest across a wide field of disciplines, so that we don't get too... The problem in music, and the problem with singers in particular, is that they are so blinkered, when in fact what they need for their advancement, for their edification, is to take the blinkers off, and that will extend their musical interest, their artistry.
It's interesting because there's a number of Canadian singers who don't have traditional music training backgrounds, which I've noticed several. I mean, probably the most notable is Isabel Berwick-Dargan.
She's a scientist of some sort.
She's a biomedical engineer.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. Somebody told me that just the other day, but that's not uncommon.
Yeah.
You know, my colleagues are town planners, biologists, certainly doctors. There have been policemen, all sorts. I mean, it's less and less the case now. I mean, they tend. Yvonne Kennedy is a biologist. Dornat, who used to sing Queen of the Night with me, a Polish girl, was a marine biologist, I think, and I forget. Tom Hemsley though was a scientist. John Shirley Quirk was a scientist, you know, or a science teacher.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So so there's always been that coming to music through the back door, as it were.
It's good, I think.
Geoffrey Tate, a doctor. So many.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing. It is. It means that, you know, you're not just talking about crotchets and minims the entire evening when you're with somebody. There's a much broader view of the world, and that can only be healthy.
I think, that's absolutely right. Great. How about the show?
How about the show?
I mean, I look at the first thing that strikes me is, I mean, the quartet are very, very young.
Yes.
And then the Hugh and Tracy.
The quartet are very young, and I've worked with them when they were all students or in programs of one sort or another. So they've come through that kind of graduation, and we're now treading the boards as equals. But Tracy is an absolute gem. I didn't know Tracy before this, and I love her and what she does. And we're hewn from the same kind of tree, I think, in a way, performing tree. And it's just interesting, you know, working with young people. Some of them have a little bit more experience than one or two of them in that quartet have a little more experience. I think Robert is a little more experienced than the other three. But it's they're looking at me as a grizzled old guy, and you know, it hasn't happened that we go our separate ways. We've actually gone in the same direction after rehearsals and had a pint or some nachos or whatever together. So we have spent time together, which is not always the case, I have to say, and understandably so, you know, because they look at someone like myself occasionally, I think, with through Natural History Museum eyes as some kind of dinosaur, but. It's just lovely to observe young singers in the early stages of their lives, you know, and the way they find and discover things for themselves.
I must admit, I love that, because I get lots of chances to see the Ensemble Studio members perform here. Yes. Have them for a few years.
Well, that's a terrific opportunity.
It's great to watch.
Don't know a company that offers that kind of opportunity, and it's a wonderful thing, I think, you know, to work with orchestra on stage and costume and everything else.
Yeah.
That's a real benefit.
I've seen them a lot in recital, and, you know, and you see, you know, somebody like Simone. I don't know. Do you know Simone Osborne? You
No.
run across her?
No.
She left the ensemble a year, maybe 18 months ago. Very, very young. I mean, she's 26 now, I think.
Right.
She was supposed to, it's rather sad. She was supposed to sing Susanna in the new Rancho Figaro that didn't happen at New York City Opera.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So,
Uh-huh.
yeah. It's
A few people bemoaning all of those sorts of things.
Right. But it's really interesting to watch kids like that.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Glyndebourne is lovely for that too.
Oh,
because
yeah,
it's,
it's all right.
Glyndebourne has to exist, survives in scouting around the world for the future stars.
Right.
And with the fee structure as it is, that's the only way they can do it, and they've done it for years and years and years and years, and it still works, and they still produce them. And it's interesting being there. I was there this last summer singing in Ariadne, and it was just to sit at the side or sit when one's not performing and just watch how it's developing and see some of them coming through. It's an interesting process.
Yeah, I bet. Well, I mean, this cosy has been directed by Ataman Goyan.
Yes.
I mean, he's done a bit of opera.
Yes.
But I mean,
He's
a film director.
Yeah.
What sort of difference does that make?
Well, he certainly knows the psychology of the piece and understands the psychology of the piece. And I think, like film directors, there is that aspect of it, but there's also the visual aspect. They're always seeing things, as it were, through that framework of the sort of 35mm frame shot. Actually, that's unkind. It's not so much that. Others I've worked with have certainly been hidebound by that, I would say. I haven't found that with Adam to the same degree at all. He's taken as his clue to the piece and his guide to the piece the fact that its alternative title is The School for Lovers.
Right.
And this is the first time I've encountered, whilst it's always that, because what you see is the lesson learned. So to all intents and purposes, it's a school, and within that school are these two couples, young people, who learn about life and about themselves and about the human condition and everything else as it proceeds. But he's taken it a step further than that and actually created what looks as if it might be a school or a college of some sort, or an academy of some sort, in which Alfonso is not just a cynic or a philosopher, whatever it might be, a hardened criminal. He's a teacher, and he's a guide to the students who come through his hand as to how these guinea pigs, these 4 guinea pigs, will behave under certain conditions. And so, whilst I've seen something like this before in other productions, using the chorus, I think, takes it into and he uses the chorus a lot, so that takes us into another area, again, of playing that isn't normally available to you, by making them party to it as well, and asking them to observe things as they proceed. And then if they see something they don't like, they might feel inclined to step in and stop it. And it's my job as the cynic, as the guide, or the scientist within the piece, to say, no, it must be allowed to happen. Let's see what happens. Wait, let's see. And so we'll see. It's different.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
We have something like 12 or 13 Durham alumni and spouses coming on opening night.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you coming to the do
At Hart House later on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the 20th, I think we're meeting.
20th of February.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I look forward to that very much. I had a lovely card from quite a lot of alumni not this Christmas, the Christmas before, as it happened, way ahead of anything of this sort being involved. So it was rather nice.
Yeah. I'm going to see this show a few times, so
All right.
at least I'll have enough opportunities to decipher what Mr. Rigoyen's getting at. So I find these days it's hard to go and see a show only once if you're actually going to understand it.
Well, that's very true.
Yeah.
More often than not, that's true. Yeah.
I'm lucky that I can often
Get
it's
to
easy